Excuse me. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm the Closet Calvinist, formerly known as many different names, but I'm a closet Calvinist because we're vilified and persecuted. But I want to talk about Bob Joyce and why I'm 95% suspicious that it's Elvis. There's Bob Joyce. Because I ordered some discs. I got that one. I got that one, Silent Night. Looks like Santa Claus there, doesn't he? And another Christmas one. Because I got a letter saying whatever, I don't know what. Ask me, you haven't bought stuff for a long time or whatever, or you might like these gifts. Look at this, Bob Joyce, Sounds of Christmas. And I got Silent Night again. It comes with, because I already had one. Or I had two or something or whatever. But I bought another one. I'm going to see if I can give a copy to my neighbour because he's a massive Elvis fan. He's going on about the Elvis epic movie. But apparently it's the Elvis epic movie by Baz Luhrmann. I worked with a chef who catered to a Baz Luhrmann party, so I have that connection. Yeah, amazing. And there was some stars there, Nicole Kidman or someone. But what was I saying? Yeah, my neighbour's a massive Elvis fan, and he wants to watch. He's ordered the epic. I think it comes in today, the Elvis epic. But I've got the Elvis the way it was, or the way it is, or whatever it is. I've got the Elvis Presley on tour, and it's just deleted scenes or unseen footage from them. So I'm not really interested in it. I mean, I like Elvis, but I've got other things. I'm not insanely Elvis fan as I used to be. Like, when you're a massive fan, you got to watch everything of Elvis. I like the music, of course, but I like a lot of other things, Paul McCartney and stuff like that. That's a new gospel album. I haven't listened to. I just got them because, because you never know. They haven't been opened yet. Well, I ordered them a long time ago, but I just opened them to have a look at them because I was thinking, because the guy was telling me about he's going to get the Elvis epic. He's an Elvis fan. I thought maybe I can give him some Bob Joyce stuff. Maybe he'll become religious. Might be a good witness to him. But I'm going to say, you're a massive Elvis fan. Listen to this guy. I want your opinion. Right? So why am I 95% suspicious? Suspicious minds on why Bob Joyce is Elvis. Well, one, I didn't hear about him until 2011, and he sung American Trilogy and sounds exactly like Elvis. So here we have an old guy who sounds just like Elvis, right? No one can dispute that. There are so many, Google it on YouTube, there are so many YouTube videos comparing Bob Joyce and Elvis. How great thou art. Here's Elvis singing How Great Thou Art. Here's Bob Joyce singing How Great Thou Art. Sounds just the same. So no one can deny that Bob Joyce sounds like Elvis. So my suspicions are, why, if a guy who sounds just like Elvis, and he's not an Elvis impersonator. He wasn't like some Elvis impersonator who's become a pastor. And he's from Arkansas. I thought it was Arkansas. I was like, Arkansas? What's that? But it's Arkansas. I think that's how they say Arkansas. He's a pastor in Arkansas of a small church. And he produces pretty good albums. Very well done, professionally done albums for an old guy who's just become a pastor. Well, I don't know how long he's been a pastor. But he sounds just like Elvis. He's an old guy. And there's no footage of a young Bob Joyce. People said he's not Bob Joyce, Elvis died. blah blah blah. A lot of them are just atheists, and that they don't like Bob Joyce because he's a pastor. They don't want anything to do with religion, and I think that's a big. If he is Elvis, that's a good cover. It's not that he's. I don't doubt Bob Joyce is genuine, because, like you said, his voice sounds just like Elvis. So if I had that voice, I'd be doing Elvis tours. I'd be Elvis impersonator. I'd be making albums and stuff like that. Right, you could make a living off that voice, but he's using it for God's glory. So I don't doubt his sincerity. Elvis was involved with the mafia. We've seen the Baz Luhrmann film, and so he was playing in Vegas, and he had contracts, and the colonel owed money was using gambling all his money and stuff like that. So certainly you don't want to get messed. You don't mess with the mob or the mafia or whatever. Like, that's bad. You don't want to mess with them. You don't want to upset them. You don't want to owe them money. We've all seen the movies. So there's plenty of reasons, and plus Elvis's fame, but he couldn't. There's plenty of reasons why he would fake his death. Right, there's plenty of reasons. So that's not disputed. Would Elvis fake his death? He's got plenty of reasons why. So the question is, but that's why I'm suspicious. Why is this guy only coming out in 2011? He sounds just like Elvis. They say he doesn't look like Elvis. Well, look at Michael Jackson. Did Michael Jackson look like Michael Jackson after his plastic surgery? Like, how many did he have? So plastic surgery will change your face. They can do all sorts of things, shave bone, and do you change the nose and you change the whole profile. So, and plus he has a beard. There's so many things. There's a gap in his teeth, like Elvis had, because he wore a thing. Fingers, and just there's little things. Plus, but there's the voice, and there's why does an old man who sounds just like Elvis only come out when he's an old man? It's suspicious. So, and the only thing that I wouldn't bet my life on it is that he's very good for his age. He'd be 90 now. I haven't seen any recent footage, but he looks good for his age, right? Where is he? Look at that. But it's all pictures can be doctored and stuff and made look. He looks good for his age, right? But Elvis always looked good. He had those look. That was part of his whole thing. The look. So he looks good for his age. So he'd be 90, 91. I don't know about 90, 91 now. But I heard on the radio today that the guy who played Klinger, he's 92 today. So the guy that played Klinger, I forget his name, in MASH, is 92. So, Elvis would still be alive. There's no reason why Elvis wouldn't be alive today. Right? If he went on gave up all the prescription drugs and looked after himself, ate healthy and stuff like that, there's no reason for him to be, and it's got to do with genetics too. Some people can drink and smoke and live to a ripe old age, while other people can drink and smoke and die young. I mean, it depends on genetics and, God's timing and all that. So why I'm 95% suspicious that he is Elvis is that he's an old man, sounds just like Elvis. Why hasn't he ever come out before and used that gift in his young days? There's no young footage of Bob Joyce singing. And he does sound just like Elvis. There's plenty of proof. He doesn't look like Elvis because the plastic surgery can change. And it looks like he's had plastic surgery. The nose, if you look at the nose, it looks like it's been changed. Right? It looks like it's been changed. It's quite possible that it is Elvis. The only thing, I wouldn't bet my life on it because, one, he looks really good for his age. But that's, people can, that's not impossible. And two, there's the Ryan guy. I've got this Elvis Christmas thing, which is really good. It's Elvis's singers. Christmas to Elvis from the Jordanaires. And it's got the Jordanaires singing, and it's really good. But it's also got that guy called Orion on it, who sounds just like Elvis. Sounds a lot like Elvis. Right? And there's good evidence that he was Vernon's son. Or that he was, there's good evidence that he might have been Elvis's brother that they had to get rid of because he was poor. They were a poor family. They could have adopted him out. I don't know. There's good evidence. He sounds just like Elvis. And they've got him on this album. And unfortunately he got shot. He had a pawn shop. This Orion guy, I forget his name, Ellis something. Jimmy Ellis or something, I think his name was. I don't know. It says Orion here. But he got shot apparently. Someone was holding up his pawn shop. Pawn shop where you go and sell stuff. And he got shot, which is tragic. Just tragic. I mean, it's just. I don't know. There's just, of course, if it happens to anyone, it's tragic. But so there it is. Just because he sounds like Elvis, it doesn't matter. It is Elvis. Bob Joyce is either Elvis or he's related to Elvis. But it still begs the question: why does he only share this voice in his old age? It would only make sense if he was Elvis and he was in hiding. And now a lot of people think that he sung American Trilogy and had it recorded and put on YouTube to let his fans know that he's still alive. So there you have it. You can't naysayers and people like that can't say, oh, no, Elvis is dead. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions. There is too many unanswered questions. Why isn't there a young Bob Joyce singing? There's no footage of it. Why does he only come out to publicly sing in his old age? It doesn't make no sense. What a waste of a gift. If you had that gift, you had that voice, wouldn't you use it? I mean, why now? It only makes sense. Bob Joyce only makes sense if it is Elvis. And Elvis, if you read that book by, is it Larry Geller, his spiritual advisor? There's a book. There was 2 editions. There was one, Larry Geller's book on Elvis's spiritual journey, which is a really good read. There's 2. There's the first one, and then they did a reprint and added stuff and updated it and stuff. I think it was called the Love Me Tender or something. I forget what it was called. By Larry Geller, great book. But Elvis believed in God, and he was trying to understand why he was Elvis. And it would make sense that he's a pastor now. It would make sense that because he believed in Jesus, but he believed in other things and stuff like that. He wore I think he wore the Star of David, he wore the cross, and he wore the moon thing from the Muslim. You would say he wore a free just in case, but it doesn't work like that. But yeah, it would make sense that he's a pastor now. It makes total sense. So but there is that 5% doubt of, you wouldn't bet your life on it, but there is a lot of unanswered questions, and you can't just dismiss it as nonsense to say that it's not Elvis. Because he's come out in his old age. He sounds just like Elvis. So an old man that comes out when he's old and only starts singing like Elvis, I mean, it's suspicious, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. But yeah, you can't say that it's nonsense to suspect that Bob Joyce is Elvis. And obviously you can't tell people that he's Elvis because he's changed his identity and stuff like that. He's legally someone else if you change your identity, if it's official. I mean, Elvis was the kind of person who could walk into the White House unannounced, arrive at the White House unannounced with 2 golden pistols and asked to see the president and gets admitted straight away. No one else has that power, especially with guns. Especially today, it'd be like so insane. But Elvis could do that. So Elvis had connections. You know, it was Elvis. So if anyone could fake their death, it was Elvis. And so it's not, you know, truth is stranger than fiction. And there you go. That's why I'm 95% suspicious that Bob Joyce is Elvis. And you can't dismiss my suspicions as nonsense. You just can't.